Seal attack sparks chaos. Tourist accused of attacking endangered Hawaiian seal claims he was protecting turtles. A tourist caught on camera throwing a rock at an endangered Hawaiian monk seal. Inmo has offered a surprising explanation for his actions, claiming he was only trying to protect nearby sea turtles. Now let's dive deeper and explore every hidden details behind this story on our AI
Imagine you're
podcast.
just, enjoying the beautiful shoreline of Lahaina. It's May 5th, gorgeous day out, and suddenly you witness a tourist hurling a giant rock at an endangered Hawaiian monk seal.
Right. It sounds completely surreal.
Yeah, it sounds like a hypothetical scenario, but it isn't. I mean, this is exactly what happened with a 38-year-old tourist named Igor Litvinchuk. And today we're pulling from court reports, news excerpts, and statements to cover the intense fallout of what people are calling the monk seal incident.
And, the footage of this incident has likely already crossed your feed. It went everywhere.
Oh, absolutely everywhere.
But that short little clip is really just the surface layer. Because while the video sparked this immediate anger, the subsequent legal defense, and the real-world consequences, they reveal a much more complex story. It's about how humans interact with nature and, honestly, how we interact with each other online.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because our mission today is to look way beyond the viral outrage. We want to understand this collision of, human ignorance, the very ruthless court of public opinion, and the severe reality of federal wildlife laws.
Yeah, the federal machinery is a whole other beast here.
Right. So let's start with the scene itself. We have the factual event from the sources. May 5th, Igor Litvinchuk is caught on camera. He throws a rock at a completely defenseless, endangered Hawaiian monk seal.
Just resting there on the rocks.
Exactly. And obviously, stunned bystanders confront him immediately. But here is the key detail that escalated the whole thing. Instead of apologizing, Litvinchuk allegedly boasts that he is, quote, rich enough to pay the fines.
Which is just, wow, you cannot say a worse thing in that moment.
No, you really can't. It was like pouring gasoline on a dry brush fire. I mean, a physical act of harm was instantly transformed into this massive symbol of extreme arrogance.
Oh, totally.
And that basically ensured the video would explode online, right? Animal lovers, environmental advocates, locals, everyone was infuriated.
Right. Because it triggered this very specific societal nerve. It wasn't just a wildlife violation anymore. It became about wealthy tourists coming in and disrespecting local habitats, disrespecting protected wildlife.
Like the island is just their personal playground.
Exactly. And that's where we see this concept of viral outrage really take hold. The internet, it basically acts as this immediate, uncompromising judge. When you commit a socially unacceptable act, your initial reaction dictates the whole trajectory.
Right, and his reaction was defiance.
Yeah, he claimed financial invincibility, which just makes the internet want to destroy you. But, the initial outrage was built on this assumption of just pure, unadulterated cruelty. Like he just wanted to hurt the animal for fun.
Right, which makes sense when you watch the video.
It does. But his defense team recently introduced this entirely different narrative. It's almost like a story of misguided heroism.
Okay, yeah, let's get into that because this blew my mind.
Huh?
His attorney, Miles Briner, came out with an explanation that, well, it relies entirely on profound ignorance.
Yeah, biological ignorance.
Exactly. Briner claims that his client, he saw the seal interacting with two large sea turtles near the shoreline rocks, and Litvinchuk allegedly assumed the seal was pushing the turtles off the rocks, like it was attacking them.
Right, posing a lethal threat to these turtles.
So according to the lawyer, he threw the rock merely to scare the seal away and protect the turtles, like a good Samaritan.
Yeah, the ignorance factor here is just astonishing. Briner is establishing this narrative where, the intent was protective. He explicitly stated that his client didn't know the significance of monk seals. And get this, he didn't even know Hawaii had seals.
Wait, really? Didn't even know they existed there?
That's what the lawyer is claiming, just total ignorance of the ecosystem.
But biologically speaking, is a monk seal actually going to attack a sea turtle?
No, not at all. Hawaiian monk seals are benthic foragers. They eat bottom-dwelling creatures, like fish, eels, octopuses.
Right, not hard-shelled sea turtles.
Exactly. They do not hunt turtles. They might share the same resting area on the beach, but they aren't predators to them. What he saw was likely just two species hanging out in the same vicinity.
Okay, but the defense tries to explain this by pointing to his background, right? Briner mentions that Litvinchuk is a Ukrainian-born naturalized U.S. citizen who used to work as a fisherman up in Washington state.
Yeah, That's their angle.
They're saying that up in Washington, he encountered really aggressive sea lions, and that past experience basically influenced his knee-jerk reaction to throw the rock in Hawaii.
Well, to be fair, there's a huge difference between sea lions in the Pacific Northwest and Hawaiian monk seals. Sea lions up there, like stellar sea lions, they are highly opportunistic.
Right, they steal from fishing boats.
Yeah, very aggressive predators. They steal catches. They're territorial. So a fisherman up there would absolutely view a sea lion as a disruptive force.
Okay, I hear that, but let's push back on this a little bit. If you have a background as a professional fisherman and you have experience with marine life, shouldn't you inherently know better?
You'd think so, yeah.
Like, you know the whole leave no trace, do not interfere rule of the ocean. You don't violently interfere with marine food chains just because you misunderstand what's happening.
No, you really shouldn't.
So is ignorance of local species really a valid excuse for throwing rocks at them? It feels like the lawyer is just trying to save face.
Well, legally, what they're trying to do is introduce some noise into the signal. In federal court, if you can establish that there wasn't malicious intent, even if it was just negligent stupidity, it can sometimes act as a mitigating factor during sentencing.
So they're just trying to downgrade it from malice to stupidity.
Exactly. It doesn't clear him of the charge, but it might lighten the blow.
But the thing is, even with this attorney explaining it was a big misunderstanding, the public didn't care. That initial arrogant comment about paying the fines, it fueled a fire that escaped the internet completely.
Oh, yeah, it spilled right over into real life.
Yeah, it led to actual dangerous physical violence,
Right.
vigilante justice. But before we get to the beating, the lawyer tried to walk back that arrogance, right?
He did. Miles Briner addressed that boast. The rich enough to pay comment. He claimed it wasn't actual arrogance.
Oh, come on.
I know. But he argued it was an emotional reaction. He basically said Litvinchuk was cornered by these angry witnesses. He was embarrassed. He was under intense pressure, so he just doubled down.
Like a defense mechanism. I'm not embarrassed. I'm rich.
Exactly. Projecting superiority as a shield.
Well, that shield didn't work at all, because the viral fame led to a very dark turn. After the footage spread, Litvinchuk was actually physically tracked down and assaulted by another man.
Yeah, the details on this are pretty rough.
They are. The sources say he was beaten pretty badly. He suffered deep welts on his head, his shoulders, and his back. No broken bones, thankfully, but a severe leading from a total stranger.
Right, motivated entirely by the viral video.
So what does this all mean? We have the public completely bypassing the legal system to deliver street justice. And what's crazy is that despite the severe beating, his lawyer stated they do not intend to press charges against the attacker.
Wow.
Yeah. Why absorb a beating like that and just walk away?
What's fascinating here is how this exposes the mob dynamic. The internet demands this immediate, visceral justice, right?
Yeah.
And Litvinchuk's legal team probably understands the victimhood calculus here.
The victimhood calculus.
Yeah, I mean, in the public's eye, he's the permanent villain. If he were to press charges against the guy who beat him up, the internet would lose its mind all over again.
Oh, I see. They'd say, you attack a defenseless seal, but then you cry to the cops when someone attacks you.
Exactly. It creates this uncontrollable cycle where the initial aggressor becomes a victim of mob retribution, but they can't even seek justice for it without making their public standing even worse.
That is why it's like the public decided the formal system was just going to be too slow, so they handled it themselves.
But the thing is, while the public took matters into their own violent hands, the actual legal system operates on cold, hard statutes. And those statutes carry penalties that are far, far heavier than public shame or even the physical assault.
Yeah, let's talk about that heavy hand of the federal law.
Yeah.
Because Litvinchuk isn't just facing, like, a local disturbing the peace fine.
Oh, no. Not even close.
He is charged under two massive federal acts, the Endangered Species Act and the Marine Mammal Protection Act.
And those are no joke.
No.
Yes.
So how do these laws actually function in the case like this?
Well, the Marine Mammal Protection Act, or MMPA, it fundamentally shifted how we treat ocean life when it was passed in 1972. The core of it is this strict prohibition on the, quote, take of any marine mammal.
Right, and take is a very specific legal term, isn't it? It's not just capturing or hunting.
Exactly. It legally includes hunting and killing, sure, but crucially it includes harassing.
Harassing.
Yeah, Any act of pursuit, torment, or annoyance that has the potential to injure them or even just disrupt their behavioral patterns, like, resting on a shoreline.
Oh, wow. So throwing a rock definitely qualifies.
Unequivocally. And because the Hawaiian monk seal is one of the most endangered seal species on the planet, there are only about 1,600 of them left.
That's heartbreakingly low.
It really is. And that's why the Endangered Species Act kicks in, adding this entirely separate layer of severe federal prosecution.
Which brings us to the court logistics, because this part is a nightmare for him. According to the reports, he appeared in a Seattle federal court on a Thursday. He was released on a personal recognizance bond, which means he didn't have to put up bail money, he just had to promise to return to court.
But there was a catch, right?
It's a huge catch. The judge ordered him to surrender his passport immediately.
Wow. So they view him as a legitimate flight risk.
Exactly. He's a naturalized citizen born in Ukraine facing massive federal charges. They are not letting him leave the country, and his next court appearance isn't even in Seattle. It's scheduled for May 27th, and he has to fly all the way back to Honolulu to face these charges.
Man, physically grounded and forced to return to the scene of the crime.
Yep. And the stakes he's facing are just staggering. If he's convicted, he faces up to 1 year in federal prison for each charge.
Wait, per charge?
Per charge. Plus, the fines could reach as high as $70,000.
That is absolutely crippling.
It really is. It's like touching a live wire, What this tourist probably thought was just this minor local infraction, maybe a park ranger yells at him, it turned out to be this massive federal voltage that just completely grounded him.
Yeah, that arrogant boast about being rich enough to pay the fines is getting the ultimate stress test now.
Exactly. And you mentioned the defense is trying to mitigate this. They're basically in full damage control now, right?
Oh, completely. Briner acknowledges that his client, he's going to, quote, pay the price. They aren't going in trying to say it didn't happen. The video is high definition. There's no denying it.
Right, so they just have to show remorse.
Yeah, they're accepting responsibility. In fact, Litvinchuk is apparently now considering donating to wildlife protection organizations to, make amends.
Oh, of course he is.
Yeah. Whether that's genuine remorse or just a calculated legal move, it's really his only play left.
Yeah.
When you've got federal prosecutors on one side and a global public that hates you on the other, showing you understand the gravity of your actions is all you have.
So to kind of bring this all together for you listening, this whole journey is just wild. It's a split-second decision to throw a rock, allegedly fueled by ignorance of the ecosystem, right?
Right.
But then compounded by this intense defensive arrogance. And that cocktail resulted in a viral firestorm, a physical assault in the streets, and now the crushing weight of federal environmental laws.
It really is a stark reminder. The big takeaway here is that knowledge is most valuable when it's applied.
Definitely.
When you step into nature, whether it's a beach in Lahaina or a national park, you are just a visitor. It's a delicate ecosystem protected by very strict laws. And claiming you didn't know the animal or didn't know the law is never going to be a reliable shield.
No, it won't. And it leaves us with this final kind of uncomfortable thought to ponder. We just outlined this massive federal machinery designed to protect wildlife, the threat of prison, lost passports, $70,000 fines.
Right, the formal justice system.
Yeah. But in an age where every shoreline is basically a digital stage and every bystander has a high-definition camera in their pocket, does the terrifying threat of viral infamy and, frankly, vigilante street justice actually do more to deter humans from harassing wildlife than the federal laws themselves?
That is a very heavy question to end on.
It is. Something to think about next time you're at the beach.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Okay, one question for you. Can ignorance about Hawaiian monk seals truly excuse his actions? Or should every visitor understand that throwing objects at wild animals is unacceptable regardless of species? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.